let me bring the man himself in to answer your very question. I'm going to share my screen with you boys, and with everybody watching, our dear viewers. Greatly appreciate all of you guys, fans of Enemies of the Fire. Let me share this with my brothers here. Share my screen, and we're going here.
We also got to mention the players we're probably gonna go, and or the ones that are gonna stay.
We'll get there right after this.
Yeah.
In fact, we'll end with this, and we'll come back with that.
All right.
So,
so you want to hear from the man himself?
Let's hear from the man himself about his tactical, what he plans to do here, and let's wait. It's a quick 4 minutes, and we'll be out, and we'll be able to comment it, and then we'll close shop, and we'll come back to talk more about players we think about who are coming.
The idea is that we're an attacking-based team that wants to create goals.
Look who it is again.
Walk us through this idea of starting from the goalie, having the ball, and disorganizing the opponents to go score.
So it's basically about just creating positional advantages, right? So if a normal team presses with 2 and you're building with 3, right now you have an advantage, a positional advantage here.
By the way, he's got a 3-man back line right here with his club team. It's not going to be the case here with what he talks about. Just listen. He actually elaborates on this.
Against there too. When you're tucking wingers in,
center
right?
mid
For example,
right back
if they're
thing,
playing with 2 in central midfield now, by tucking one winger in, again, we have a positional advantage in the middle. So we're always trying to create positional advantages against the opponent.
The great orator, Gregg Berhalter.
In trouble for Columbus Crew. That was a great
We're always trying to compete.
He made that tackle libero style. About 35 yards off his goal line. Valenzuela.
Why does this feel like the Berhalter version of the triangle offense?
Let me ask you about...
Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, we can't do it.
Let me just show you this again. This was beautiful.
We can't do that.
This is Berhalter ball.
Yeah, but we can't do that. We need competent wingers for that. We don't have competent wingers for this.
That's the 2 DPs.
Do you notice how they attack the penalty area?
No, I mean, I like what I'm saying.
That is where Hugo will be.
So listen to this though, because the MLS writer, what's his face, the couch chair guy, is talking to him. And this is one of the main facets of the Columbus team, which is he evolves. This is 6-7 years ago, 5-6-7 years ago. I have more to talk about in the next segment. We'll get to that.
That's right here. This pass right here. That's the pass that I think a lot of people associate with the Columbus Crew and what you guys did. What is it about that pass that became so intrinsic to what you guys did?
So I think now. So we created our positional advantage, right? But now the opponent has to react to us. So what they need to do is now they need to close that advantage by sending one of their wingers forward. So now if they have a winger who's trying to release to our 3, now it creates a question for their fullback.
Now I'm kind of realizing who's
when we
staying
have
and
a
who's
winger
going.
in this position.
Yeah, you are. We'll get into this. This is very informative.
Trap, for example, had the ball, and he sees now the number 4 is coming to close down the number 3 in this position.
Because he does reveal who's his most important players, essentially.
This becomes the open player because our winger is holding their fullback back. So now we play to the winger, and now something has to transpire. If he releases here, now we're going to have space to play the number 11.
Okay.
So this is how you generally set up your defense with the Columbus Crew. You pick a 4-4-2.
This is it. This is where he talks about his actual formation, guys. This is huge.
You have Pipo Higuain, who's your number 10, step up as a second forward, and you have 2 lines of 4, and you create this block somewhere in the middle of the field.
Gross.
How did you pick that when most other possession teams around the world are high pressing or ferociously counter pressing?
What I say is that there is a little bit of detail that is missing, and it's just the position. It's not really. I wouldn't call it a 4-4-2. I call it a 4-2-2-2.
Do you hear that?
Hold on. I did hear that, but I want to say one thing. What he's about to say, because I watched this earlier, because I do my homework. I really do like what he's about to say here. I think this is gonna be a big deal for us.
All right, I'm gonna rewind it back to the 4-4-2 part because I really think this is awesome. All right, click and play.
Or high pressing or ferociously counter pressing.
What I say is that there is a little bit of detail that is missing, and it's just the position. It's not really. I wouldn't call it a 4-4-2. I call it a 4-2-2-2.
Which is interesting because that's what Jesse Marsh loved to play with the Red Bulls over in Europe.
And this would be 4, this would be 2, this would be 2, this would be 2. And we want to control space. That the general principle of what we're trying to do is control space, make play predictable. Those are the principles that the guys work on. And then the reason why is...
That is key, too. He's telling you what our Chicago Fire players are going to work on right here. This is key.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny, though, too? You can also see why that was less successful in the United States, because their strength is all on the wing, and it's not really wing play.
Interesting. All right, but this is going to be a key for Chicago Fire in the next few seasons.
The general principle of what we're trying to do is control space, make play predictable. Those are the
control space, make play predictable, which the Chicago Fire do not do.
Oh God, no! This is about what they're about to talk about. It's what I really think is the big deal in his defense.
All right, let's get into it.
Predictable. Those are the principles that the guys work on. And then the reason why is, there's a couple different reasons. The first thing, in MLS, we have to accept that we're playing in tough conditions sometimes in terms of heat. We played games in Kansas City where it was almost 100 degrees this year. We played some home games, 90 degrees. I felt...
When I've listened to that, I hear that he wants a game that's gonna last. It's gonna work in the middle of the season when we're cold. It's gonna work in the middle of the season when we're warm. I'm sorry, in the beginning of the season when we're cold. In the middle of the season when we're too hot. At the end of the season when we're starting to get cold again, we're not worried about weather because of the way we played. Because some teams that just press so much during the heat, during those humid nights, they die.
That if we're going to be a high-pressing team, it could take too much energy out of the group, right? So we want it to be more of a controlling type of team where we can control the opponent based on our defensive movement as well, not just offensively. So then we came up with this structure. How can we prevent balls coming central?
Now, I'm going to rewind this part, but this is what is going to happen, guys. We are not seeing the direct tactics of the Chicago Fire referenced through the Columbus. He is not coming into Chicago and going to be doing old Columbus tactics. He's going to be doing an evolution of everything he's ever learned, ever during his entire journey as a tactician and a coach. But on top of that, he has this knowledge of MLS, this experience of MLS that he is already bringing to the table. I'm excited about that.
Up with this structure. How can we prevent balls coming central? How can we make play predictable for the team? And this is the structure that we came up with. And
the other thing I wanted to bring up, which what he's talking about here, I'm going to rewind. He's not just coming in here and just gonna be like, all right, I got these cards on the table that have worked for me in the past. Let's put down here the ace of spades. Let's put down here my ace of hearts and my ace of diamonds, right? He's not coming here and just going to do that. He's actually going to come here. He's going to look at top to bottom with what the Fire have and what he has to deal with this next coming season. Not the dead wood, but the wood that is still here. Not the dead wood this season, but the wood that will be here next season. He's looking at all of that and being like, all right, how can we get this to work? And what do we need to add to this recipe to make it work as well?
One thing we have to mention is that Gregg Berhalter is actually working as a Fire and part of the Fire organization starting today.
Yes.
Not as a head coach, but as a sporting director.
Absolutely.
So right now, the man is probably doing his homework. He's going to use the last game of the season. Don't be surprised. You see him at Soldier Field.
He's watched every game this season. I guarantee you. I talk with Piotr Nowak. When these guys go in, they go in hot. They go in studied. They go in with a packet of ideas that they already have for the club because they've already done a lot of their homework. They want to get hired the job and then get paid to do more homework, obviously. Yeah. But that's what's going to happen here with Gregg. Gregg has already done some of the homework on the Fire. He's psychoanalyzed Frank. He's analyzed the team already. He's seen the results. Yeah. He's looked through the entire Rolodex of this particular season. He's looked at their best games. He's looked at their worst games. And he's looking at all the players and be like, you know what? Aragoni, that's a guy I could probably work with. Jimenez, I'm not so sure. Turan might be able to work with him, especially if I bring in my guy. I'll talk about him here in a minute. And and other ideas. So what I'm excited about this guy is not only is he coming in here and he's just like, oh, I'm going to try my tired old ideas. This guy is a hard worker. He loves a challenge. He wants to come in here and cook. He wants to come in here and prove he is the best coach in MLS, bar none. You to take your Wilfred Nancy's, toss him in the fucking garbage. Gregg Berhalter's here. He's showing up on the stream, and he is, gosh damn it, gonna show everybody in fucking MLS that he is the best coach in MLS. Guarantee you that's what he's coming in here. He's coming in here with balls
Calm down,
that
Greg.
are
It's
brass.
No, but hold on. James got a point there because out of all the MLS coaches, he's the one that got the job as the national team head coach.
He's got something to
So-
prove still.
He did. Yeah,
You
no,
know-
he definitely does after that U.S. stint, that second one.
So my thing is like looking at this. Let's one thing that we're gonna see is that the Fire, if Greg's still playing with this kind of style, they're gonna clog that. They're gonna clog up that midfield. It's not gonna be easy for teams to.
You know
to
what
make
scares
passes.
me though? Maybe it works, but like this kind of setup screams for some of the guys on our roster that we're like getting ready to get rid of, and like they're not good enough.
No.
Like a Chris
no.
Mueller, he's gonna be like this is kind of right up his alley, which sucks because I kind of am ready to move on. But anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
Here we played some home games, 90 degrees. I felt that if we're going to be a high-pressing team, it could take too much energy out of the group.
Right.
So we wanted to be more of a controlling type of team where we can control the opponent based on our defensive movement as well, not just offensively. So then we came up with this structure. How can we prevent balls coming central?
We came up with this structure. He looked at a team. He figured, what's his strengths?
How can we prevent balls coming central? How can we make play predictable for the team? And this is the structure that we came up with. And I think the guys worked really hard in integrating this into our game. And I think we did a good job this year. The other important thing to realize is that it starts in a mid block, but it very much turns into a high press on cues. That's the important part of it. And the guys know cues when to move this block into here.
And
I like
that's
that.
where the
Smarter
secret.
defending.
Yes, and that's where him being able to work with these guys day in, day out, it's going to wield better results than it did in the national team.
No,
You know who
that's
else is
just
suited for this system is Tom Barlow.
Oh,
So you don't have to give away all.
Don't mention that guy. That guy is out. But all I'm saying is this. I can guarantee you that right now he's probably making a list of what guys will actually pick up on.
Oh,
those
he's
cues.
already got that. He's
He's already got that list.
I got some names for you, but we'll get it at the next segment.
We'll get to that
Block
later.
into right here.
And just so you don't have to give away all your secrets, like one of the little cues, for example, is if a
By the way, he's not giving away all of his secrets.
the little
he's
cues,
not.
for example,
He's
is
not dumb.
if a team
Fingers
plays
crossed.
backwards, if the team on the ball, the opponent plays backwards, maybe there's a bouncing ball, that's a cue universally for all teams around the world to say, hey, let's go.
By the way, that's Giassi Zardes. They're forward, pressuring the ball out on the wing.
First guy puts pressure on the ball, and everyone follows, and I assume yours are pretty similar to what everyone else
Yeah,
does.
I guess it would, part of the
already
backwards pass would be
the
depending
attacking
on
from
how
a
far the
from a
backwards
kick.
pass is. If the fullback had the ball and he
that's the
passes
idea.
back to the goalkeeper, part of the backwards pass would be depending on how far the backwards pass is. If the fullback had the ball and he passes back to the goalkeeper, we wouldn't necessarily make that run. The distance would be too far.
Right.
So it's just depending on the distance of the back.
Man, he's felt.
You've played a pretty defined style in Columbus, but you've also adjusted. New England tried to press you this year, and you played long, and against the Red Bulls in Toronto in the past. How do you know when to adjust? How do you know when it's the right time to stick to this style, but say maybe today is not the day for that?
I think it's weighing how much we can hurt them versus how much they can hurt us.
I'm so fucking excited.
And if that
He
ratio
doesn't
gets
make
out of whack,
changes until
then
the
we'll change.
87th minute of games.
How much we can hurt
I
them
don't like
versus
that.
how much they can hurt us.
Listen to him, though.
Past. How do you know when to adjust? How do you know when it's the right time to stick to this style, but say
James is
maybe today is not?
By the way, just watch the swallow of concern in his. You see him swallow, so he's a little nervous by this one.
How do you know when to adjust? How do you know when it's the right time to stick to this style, but say maybe today is not the day for that?
I think it's weighing how much we can hurt them versus how much they can hurt us.
That fucking excites me.
And if that ratio,
Because there's no time that Frank
let's-
Klopas is ever calculating that. He's like, how do we survive this game?
Well,
Yeah,
I know.
he's survival.
I know. Toke mentioned 87, like 83rd minute. You know,
Yes.
he likes to make changes, but keep in mind, a lot of teams get burned when those late change, like,
that
you
is
got first
that-
leg
yeah,
versus
squeaky
tied
bum
leg.
time.
Changing at the
They call it
6th inch.
squeaky bum time at Man United.
I don't know, man. I just
I mean,
think
it
doesn't change course
kind of
back.
has the makings. It kind of has the makings of a clutch team. Just saying.
We'll see.
and if that ratio gets out of whack, then we'll change. If we feel like we can hurt them more often than they can hurt us, then we'll continue to do what we're doing.
That is the other key part. Listen, he mentioned.
And they can hurt us, then we'll continue to do what we're doing.
So if we are in a position where we are going to keep injuring them, hurting them, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, like, damn the torpedoes.
I was thinking more or less tactically. Like, if the right side of the team is weak, he's gonna keep attacking that side until it gets to a run.
This guy has a plan. This guy has way more of an idea than I've ever heard from Frank. But I love Frank.
we don't
I
know
think,
if this
yeah,
is his
have
idea
we
now.
never
We don't-
heard.
We don't know.
So
So
we don't.
That's true.
Well, James, I have a very serious question. Too bad it's at the end of a segment.
Yeah.
But James, you mentioned it. You said 2 years. How long is the leash for you, DPG, before you're kind of like, oh, things aren't going well and I'm pissed off about it?
So I think by year 3.
I really want to
think
give.
you
I,
guys
I would
always
give
say,
3
dude,
years. I would also
No,
give 3.
hold on. This is why. 2016. Let's go back to 2016. And I know this is just an example. All right, doesn't mean I like the guy. 2016
Want to get
we had
married to
Velko.
him.
Yeah. 2016 we had Velko. It was horrible. You know, it was like another disaster season.
And then
right?
2016, I called it. I said, we got to move on from this guy.
And then 2017, look what happens. Fire blow up. You know, and then obviously at the end of 2017, there was so much mismanagement that they pretty much killed whatever momentum they had from that season.
That's what I saw.
and of
I saw
course,
this
Velko-
mismanagement. But, however, there was this idea that maybe Velko could learn. Maybe he could. He did win
That's
a
another
FIFA World
thing.
Cup.
That's another thing. I was expecting Velko to adapt, to evolve from these tactics.
Yes.
In the first half of the season, he was playing a certain way, but then teams were catching on to it. And I think, you know, going back to Gregg Berhalter, you have to give him at least 3 years. Like, you have to give him that third year. Like, if the first year is always going to be a restructuring year.
If
You're
Velko
not going to.
Paunovic gets
No,
3
hold on.
years,
Stop,
come on.
Stop.
That's
No,
literally,
no.
we could give this
Listen,
guy
hold
3 years. The
No.
coach of the U.S. men's national team.
No, he has 2
Before we
free
chase him out with the
DP
pitchfork.
He has 2 free DP
Look,
spots.
man.
He has 3 free young DP spots. Or he's got 10 players coming out of his ears.
Look,
This-
All right,
he-
wait. We got to come back
Look,
and
hold
talk
on.
more. But there's tactics. There's so much more stuff that he's got to establish, train out. Well, let's get into
No,
this.
they
You know,
missed
we
the
got so much
playoffs.
more to talk
He's
about here
gone.
on Enemies to Fire.
Let's go on a break. All
We're
right,
gonna go on a break.
we got.
You guys in the comment section, make sure you guys comment below what you guys are feeling for how Gregg Berhalter's reign is going to go with the Chicago Fire, what you're concerned about or what you're excited about. And we're going to go to break, but make sure that before you do, it's free, it's fun, and it's fair, and you get to poke the motherfucker in the eye. And I'm talking about that.
And we're gonna
that
come back to this argument.
Nemo down
We're gonna come
there,
back to this argument.
the like button. Get him. Just little.
We're gonna come back to this argument.
Little 2-tap to the eyes of the like button and help defeat the algorithms of YouTube. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. It's free.